Welcome to Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. Hi everyone, I'm your host Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money gamer extraordinaire. Today we're talking about Social Security, America's #1 retirement plan, with retirement expert and Social Security strategist, Brian Doherty. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Your book's coming out here in October.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. You have your calculator. All this is happening. You are probably the only person I know that this is all you do. You just talk about Social Security. You don't talk about retirement plans. You don't talk about annuities. You don't talk about RMDs. It's only one thing and one thing only, Social Security. I'm surprised, after getting to know you, you were on my advisor show, I'm surprised at how many people don't understand if they would just wait a little while, a little longer, their Social Security would be worth so much. Why do people take money immediately as soon as they turn 62?
Well, Steve, I think it's because they just don't want to wait. A lot of people know that if they wait, their check will be bigger. They don't necessarily understand how much bigger. And sometimes when you show them how much bigger that check is going to be, it gets them to thinking that maybe they should delay. But I think most people know they can claim as early as 62 or wait till age 70. Why would you wait till age 70? Well, because the check is going to be 76% bigger than the check they would receive at age 62. But they don't end up doing it because they just don't think it pays to wait. So they want their money now.
I noticed that you have 3 or 4 things that you point out in your book here. One is people just hate their job. If they turn 62, I'm going to retire.
That's one of the reasons that they use for claiming so early. I've asked a lot of people in the last 4 years. I've been writing this book for 4 years, and I've heard that one. And there's really not much you can do about it. Emotionally, they're out of there at 62, and they're claiming Social Security. So,
but they're giving up a chunk of change here.
They are.
Now, I also notice that people that are laid off in their late 50s, early 60s, sometimes they find, I can't really get another job anyways. Maybe this is the time to do it. They need the money at 62, and they go ahead and ask for their Social Security benefits.
Especially in the last few years with the recession in 2008, 2009, the economy hasn't come roaring back. People got laid off. If they were in their late 50s, early 60s, it was very difficult for a lot of them to find a job. And it got to the point where they were 62, and some of them desperately needed income, so they had to claim their Social Security.
Now, a lot of people say, you know, I'm just not going to be around that long, so why don't I just take the money and run today? But you have seen longevity studies that say otherwise.
Absolutely, and I hear that a lot too. People underestimate how long they're going to live. There's been studies on that as well. And they don't fully understand, a lot of people, the definition of the term life expectancy. It's something they've heard all their life, but it's simply a statistical term. And what it means is that 50% of people are going to live beyond their life expectancy, and 50% of people are going to die before their life expectancy. When I tell people this, they're usually surprised. 50% are going to live beyond the life expectancy, which in this country right now is around age 78. That's a lot of people living up to and beyond their life expectancy.
So really, that is kind of a myth from a math point of view.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, the other thing is the longer you live, the farther out you push your life expectancy. So for an example, if you live to age 62, a man still alive at age 62, his life expectancy is pushed out to age 85. Where a woman who lives to age 62, her life expectancy is pushed out to age 88. That's a long time, Steve.
That's really a long time, and we're talking about delaying. Now, what if I say you show us the math, it really is worth our time and effort to wait till 70. But I still need some kind of money to get me there. You say you have a strategy for that.
Have a strategy for that. In fact, that's the strategies. That's why I named the book Getting Paid to Wait. Because most people don't realize, let's take like a married couple, 2 spouses. Whoever has the bigger benefit, the Social Security benefit, should try to delay as long as possible, ideally till age 70. A lot of them say, I'm not waiting that long before I get some money from Social Security. My strategies will show you how that spouse that's delaying to age 70 can still receive some income from Social Security, many times a substantial amount of income from Social Security, while they wait, while they delay until age 70 to maximize the size of that benefit.
And that won't injure the spouse who's waiting till 70. That will not change his benefit.
No, it'll only make it bigger, actually, because they're delaying. The benefit will get bigger.
Okay, now, based on what you just said, so there's money that's on the table that could be used as a survivorship benefit, right?
Yes.
If I'm hearing you correctly. And that money is rarely tapped by Social Security participants.
Rarely. And the reason is because they don't know that they can do this. And I've talked to a lot of people and I've showed them this stuff. First of all, they find it incredible. Some of them don't believe it, that you can actually do it. I said, oh yeah, you can do all this stuff. And then the next question I get is, why don't I know this? Why hasn't anybody told me this before? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm telling you now.
To me, these are huge options and opportunities for us to really look at Social Security, which is, to most Americans, their only retirement. If you learn how to really optimize your Social Security and maximize the benefits, it can make the difference between living a retirement that isn't that golden to actually having a very comfortable retirement. When we come back from the break, we're going to really ask Brian a lot of questions on these strategies. There's several out there. A couple of these you really like, especially for you who are divorced and single. We'll be right back after the break. It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And keeping more of your money is even harder these days with high taxes, fund expenses, and fees for financial advice. And when you consider the uncertainty of the market and the rising cost of living, the purchasing power of your dollar is constantly at risk. But a tax-deferred annuity with an inflation rider can be the most cost-effective way to generate increasing annual income without market volatility. For more information on how annuities may work for you, just email me at steve@thenameofthegame.tv and ask for our free annuity information. Well, welcome back to our second segment. Of course, we're with our special guest, Brian Doherty, Social Security strategist and expert. And one of the things before we get into it, because we're just going to rapid fire here, how many people don't understand this issue of inflation as it relates to Social Security? Because I think people think it's a flatline income. This is what you get for the rest of your life. But that's really not true.
That's really not true, and they don't understand how important the COLA feature is, the cost of living adjustment feature for Social Security, until a few years after they've actually claimed their benefits and they see their benefit going up every January, and usually going up every January.
Now remember, I think it was 1975 we started increasing it. Now, a couple years back, it was, I think, the first time they'd never made an adjustment.
They didn't, because the government, the index they used, said there wasn't any inflation for that year. In fact, it happened 2 years in a row, and it made a lot of people angry because they didn't receive that increase.
I think this is very important. This is why when we talk about in the first segment, waiting till 70, that number is bigger. That means your COLA or your inflation feature is on that number, which really makes a difference over the long haul.
It makes a big difference. In fact, this is one of the things I talk about in the book, that people should consider the COLA before they make their claiming decision and look to find ways to maximize the benefit of COLA. And they do that, Steve, if they wait as long as they can, ideally till age 70, to claim their benefits. And then they're looking at some of the biggest pay raises they can receive every year for the rest of their life because of the COLA feature of Social Security.
Keep that in mind. This is a huge feature, the COLA feature. Now, what about this spousal benefit? You know, we're looking at this money from age 66 to age 70.
Yes.
You said this is the money we're leaving on the table. Just touch that again.
Well, the strategies that I show people, the getting paid to wait strategies, they all revolve around the strategic use of the spousal benefit. And what a spousal benefit is, with a married couple or a divorced spouse, one spouse can claim a spousal benefit, which is 50% of the other spouse's regular benefit. It's a huge advantage. Even if that spouse hadn't worked or worked very little and was going to receive a very small benefit from Social Security, they're still entitled to a spousal benefit, which is 50% of the other spouse's benefit. It's an incredible feature of Social Security. And the strategies that I show people is how to strategically use the spousal benefit to generate income for them while they wait to maximize their Social Security benefit.
So there's money between age 66 and 70 that is being left on the table that is completely legitimate to access.
Absolutely.
Okay, now did I hear you say, I thought I heard your spousal, but I thought you also heard divorce in there. Did you say that at the front end?
I did. And this is another thing that I found, that most divorcees have no idea that they could take advantage of some of these strategies to maximize their own benefits as well. Divorced spouses, they can still claim, if they were married for at least 10 years before they got a divorce and they haven't remarried, they can still claim a spousal benefit and receive 50% of their ex-spouse's work history benefit. They can do that, and most people don't know that they can do that.
That's amazing. I until recently, I didn't know you could do that. And every time we bring this up, I know I haven't found one person in the audience that said, you know, I knew that, thanks a lot for reconfirming. No, they didn't know it at all. And what if you were married a couple times, at least 10 years, you could actually choose the one that's higher.
You could. You have the option of choosing the higher benefit. And also the survivor benefit too, Steve. Mm-hmm. If you're, again, divorced for at least, or married for at least 10 years before your divorce and didn't get remarried, or waited until you're over age 60 before you got remarried, you're entitled to a survivor benefit if your ex-spouse dies, and you can get their full Social Security benefit upon their death.
Well, talk a little bit about the claim early and claim late. This is a strategy that you use under the spousal benefit.
Yes, it is. And although if you look at the numbers, they might be a little confusing at first, but actually it's fairly simple because, again, it does revolve around claiming the spousal benefits strategically. And I'm talking about a husband and wife now here. Usually the wife has a smaller benefit. She would claim early, actually at age 62. And then the husband with the bigger benefit would wait and claim a spousal benefit at age 66. And while he claims that spousal benefit, his own benefit continues to grow by 8% a year, and he maximizes the size of that benefit at age 70, and he switches from the spousal benefit to his maxed out work history benefit and puts them at age 70 in one of the best financial positions possible to have a truly comfortable retirement.
I love that, and I don't know of anybody that's really talking about this tactic as much as you do, because this is all you talk about. Yeah, what about the claim and suspend? You know, this is why we're trying to reward people for waiting, right?
Yes.
This is another one of those strategies that you can do.
Yes, it is. And talking about it may sound confusing, and that's why I recommend people, I have a calculator. They can go and put a few pieces of information and hit a button, and within a second it'll show you the one strategy that'll pay you the most amount of money while you wait. The claim and suspend strategy is just another way that Social Security gives people every opportunity to maximize their benefits, but hardly anybody does. If you had, again, I'll use a married couple, one spouse has the bigger benefit, let's assume it's the husband. If he wanted to delay to age 70 to maximize the size of that benefit, well then his wife, let's say she had a much smaller benefit, she wouldn't be able to claim a spousal benefit until her husband actually claims his own benefit. So if he's not going to claim it till age 70, that means the wife would also have to wait until age 70 to claim a spousal benefit. That might be too long. Here's what Social Security allows you to do. The husband at age 66 could claim his benefit and immediately suspend it, so he doesn't receive any money. But what that allows the married couple to do, that allows his spouse, his wife, to claim a spousal benefit at age 66 and get income that way. Then the husband unsuspends his benefit at age 70 and claims his own regular benefit, and it's as big as it can be. And at age 70, again, they're in great financial position to have a much more financially comfortable retirement.
These are the strategies of Social Security that could really be deployed to really make your retirement worth living. These are really great numbers and ideas. And about a month from now, your book will be coming out. What's the name of that book?
The name of the book is Getting Paid to Wait.
Wow, Getting Paid to Wait. I love that. Well, that's all the time we have today on our show. I want to thank Brian Doherty for being my special guest and today's money mentor. And before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor or legal counsel. And remember, as the good Reverend John Wesley once said, make all you can, save all you can, give all you can. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you next week.